Today on First Cup, we've got a new episode of Martial Arts Radio to talk about. There's some stuff in the chat to talk about. I'll tell you about my day and why I didn't leave the house. And I'm sure we'll have other things that we chat about, so stick around. We roll in 15. Three, two, one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Thursday. It's December 23rd, 2021. My name is Jeremy. This is my first cup of coffee. Well, good morning to Denise, to Daniel, to Andy, to all of you, whether you're joining me live, joining later, listening. I appreciate you coming by and sharing a cup of something. How was your Wednesday? Good morning, Tommy. I had a day that I had not planned for. I was about to leave the house, checked my temperature, and I was a little more than half a point above normal. I usually come in 97.3 to 97.5 on this thermometer, and I was 98.2 when I went, oh. Now, I was pretty sure it was because of the intense workout that I did the night before, but I couldn't be sure. And there was a little tiny tickle in the back of my throat, and I said, you know what? We're going to be safe. And so I reached out to the person I was supposed to meet up with to deliver some things and said, hey, let's reschedule because of this. This is why. And so I did. And so I stayed in. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do anything. Farthest I went was to grab a box that UPS had dropped off in the driveway. Made dinner, cooked a turkey breast, made turkey stock. That's still cooking right now. And today, I'm fine. I was actually fine by about 6 o'clock. My temperature was back down. Good morning, Nathan and Jenny and Dennis. Dennis says, happy Christmas Eve. And we're celebrating. If you're watching, you can see I've got my favorite sweatshirt. Yeah. If you're not watching, you're missing out. And I just kind of hung out, arranged the house on some things. That's a weird sentence. I did some stuff around the house. There we go. Now, it is Thursday. Oh, we have a new episode of Martial Arts Radio. Let's see if it's up. It's a rapid fire. It's the 10th installment of the rapid fire Q&A. We do this format about once a month, 4, 5, 6 weeks, somewhere in there. Andrew puts it together. They're a ton of fun. And we've started doing them live. So if you happen to be around, I think Tuesday. We're recording the next one on Tuesday. So if you're around Tuesday, maybe keep an eye open to Facebook and YouTube, and maybe you'll be able to catch it live. Have a good day, Andy. What did we cover in the Q&A? I don't remember. We had a bunch of stuff, but we're looking at doing more live because you guys seem to like live stuff. So we'll do some more live stuff. We've got some practice from this show. So that's kind of neat. What else can I tell you? Not a lot's changed since yesterday. That's the challenge of not leaving the house or doing anything. It's cold out. It's 13 degrees. It's supposed to warm up later. Had a fire yesterday. Oh, you know what I did? You know what I did at the end of the day? Do you have those spots in your house and you look and you're like, that piece of furniture is not quite right. It works, but it could be better. It could be different, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I've got over there, not that you guys are ever going to see it, but it's a couple end tables. And I've got them sitting next to each other as plant stands. And they're perfectly functional. And I like them there for the function. They're also sitting over a heating vent, which is inefficient for the house, but I kept them there because it was the cat's favorite spot when the heat would kick on. she would go over there because it was nice and warm, and she would lay there, and it was where I would always find her first thing in the morning. Well, there's no cat, and don't really feel like being reminded that there's no cat. So I ordered a multi-tiered shelving thing. That I did that last night. Got to move on. So today, what's going on today? Got a bunch of client stuff. It's like all client stuff all day long. There are a number of things that I've been looking at on my list saying, I don't really need to do that. I don't need to do that. I don't really need to do that. Tomorrow I have one thing. My one thing tomorrow is putting together the plan, the marketing / apparel / whatever plan for the year. It'll probably take me about an hour. It's really just sitting down and being thoughtful about all the different pieces and how they lay out. But I'll put that together tomorrow, and then I'll be done. So I'll probably be done, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there. Take the rest of the day off, have kind of a long weekend. But today, there's work. Tommy says he had 4 classes last night. Fun night at the school. Cool. I hope they went well. I didn't even do my stretching yesterday. I meant to, and I forgot. I am not great at remembering to train here. My home is my home, and it's also my business. I don't know if you guys are the same way. My business, at least most of it, exists in that room, so that's a little bit easier. But when I'm not in that room, it's hard to remember to do other things. So, yeah, I'll get to the gym tonight, and I'll do some stretching and some kicking. Daniel says, apparel plan for the year. Whistlekick masks incoming? No, we're not going to make masks. I don't want to make masks. I want to make things that are fun. Masks aren't fun. Unless you're meaning a very different kind of mask, in which case I don't understand. Oh, Jenny. Jenny says, in reference to me not remembering to stretch at home. That's okay. You may forget now, but you can build that habit a little at a time. Very true. It's quite true. Oh, and apparently Daniel was kidding. Yeah. Wow, look at all these comments coming in. It's crazy. Jenny, I don't know why my phone autocorrects things that are already correct. Technology thinking it's smarter than us. What's the Terminator Day? We already had it. Was it last year? Year before? The day when it becomes self-aware. That one. All right. That's enough monologuing, rambling. We're gonna switch gears over here. Oh, hold on. Oh, apparently Terminator Day is 97. I'm way off. I thought the awakening of the consciousness happened in like 19 or 20. Daniel says the mask could say, can you kick high enough to kick me in the mask? If not, why not try TKD? That's funny. Okay. Oh, I was not as set up over here as I thought I was. Here we go. I've got some stuff in here from Chris and Josh and Frank. So let's start with Frank's stuff. Had a great call with Frank yesterday. That was probably the highlight of the day. No, it was definitely the highlight of the day. Apparently, today is Festivus. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. Festivus is a secular holiday normally celebrated on December 23rd. It is mainly meant as an alternative to the pressures and commercialization of the Christmas season. However, it has also become a day to celebrate the everlasting comedy of the 90s television show Seinfeld. Festivus was a holiday featured in the season 9 Seinfeld episode The Strike, which first aired on December 18th, 1997. Since then, many people have been inspired by this zany, offbeat Seinfeld holiday and now celebrate Festivus as any other holiday. How crazy is that? The usual holiday tradition of a tree is manifested in an unadorned aluminum pole, which is in direct contrast to normal holiday materialism. Those attending Festivus may also participate in the airing of grievances, which is an opportunity to tell others how they have disappointed you in the past year, followed by a Festivus dinner and then completed by the feats of strength, where the head of the household must be pinned. All of these traditions are based upon the events in the Seinfeld episode. Strangely enough, our Festivus traditions also have roots that predate Seinfeld, as it began in the household of Dan O'Keefe, a television writer who is credited for writing the Seinfeld episode. I remember that episode. I remember how ridiculous it was, how much I love Jerry Stiller, one of the most brilliant comedians and comedic actors, I think, of all time. And just how out of left field that episode was. It was great. Okay, and I'm very much wrong. Daniel is agreeing with Denise. Yeah, Skynet, that's the term I was looking for. Skynet self-awareness happens at 2:14 a.m., August 29th, 97. Then what am I thinking of? Denise says, I don't know if they changed it in later movies. Couldn't get through them, though. Ooh. They're not the best movies, but they're fun. Movies can be good or bad, and they can also be fun. And to me, those are independent. There are plenty of bad, fun movies. I think most of the martial arts films that we all like are bad, fun movies. Some of them are just bad and stupid. But some of them are bad and fun. Denise is asking, Blade Runner. You know, I don't know if I've seen Blade Runner. If I have, it's been a very long time. Like a very long time. I think I saw it in high school. I don't remember. If I've seen it, I've seen it once. Cannot place it. Couldn't tell you a thing about it. All right. So Josh has a great follow-up on yesterday and the conversation and the big thing that I want to read here. He's letting me off the hook. Jeremy, don't sweat trying to pronounce Romanized Chinese words. Even native Chinese speakers butcher them. Chinese-speaking countries have about a zillion dialects, and only one of them is Mandarin. A lot of Kung Fu terms in the U.S. are in Cantonese, probably because of the Hong Kong movie industry that popularized the art, and because China itself was close to the West for all those years. Though the characters are all the same, Cantonese sounds almost nothing like Mandarin, which makes it even more confusing. Also, each character can be pronounced at least 4 ways, and the tone often gets left out in the romanization process, since setting type with the little tone marks is a pain, making it difficult to know which one it is unless you have the right context. It sounds like Hebrew. If you read a lot of Hebrew, they leave the vowels out, and I'm not good enough to know. I don't know what I'm reading anyway, but without the vowels, I'm really in trouble. When Chinese speakers meet each other and exchange last names, you'll often see them air signing the character so the other person knows which one it is, since so many words sound alike. Oh, that's fascinating. Google Translate with the audio pronunciation is really awesome for this, though. And he's got a picture of his son with the sweet rice soup. We talked about that yesterday, and super cool. It actually looks like a breakfast cereal to me with the colors. That's really fun. I love it. Thanks, Josh. And he does go on to say that the idea of, and yes, if Whistlekick needed yet another thing to do, I do think a book club would be a nice idea. Well, I'll tell you what, if somebody wants to be in charge of the book club, I'll help you get set up, and then I will step away. If you want to run a book club, we can have a book club. I do not have time for a book club. I barely have time to read the books that I'm supposed to read. And now there's conversation in the chat about Blade Runner. All right. I like this question from Chris. Thank you, Chris. So I'm going to read this, and then I think this will lead to some good conversation here. If a martial arts school is like a family, how do you deal with the martial arts version of a drunk uncle? Related, but just barely, why is the drunk uncle always the one that gets used for every example of when to exhibit martial arts self-control? Well, the second part is much easier to answer, and I think it's because it's an example that most of us can understand, even if we don't have a drunk uncle in our family. And theoretically, you don't want to hurt them. That the drunk uncle is, hey, come here, and isn't trying to be harmful physically, but perhaps has imbibed too much and is not in full control of the degree of pressure they're applying when they hug someone or whatever. And that all combines to create a situation where in most families, just hauling off and treating them like a random street assault would not be seen as an appropriate reaction by the rest of the family. That's why. That part's easy. So how do you deal with the martial arts version of a drunk uncle? I've had several of these. I'm thinking of 1, 2. There wasn't anybody in that school or that school. I've known at least 3 of them. And in all cases, they are individuals who enjoy teasing, picking on younger, lower ranks, are physically larger, and were possibly bullies in their past. Not all of them. But I suspect that they were not bullied and thus are well, no, I'm not going to make that judgment. They use their skill, their size, their rank in a way within training spaces to more or less bully. I think it's the best word. So how do you handle that? You can't just haul off and kick them. You might want to. Probably not going to work out well. So I'm thinking of one of these people in particular, and I really struggled with it. Because it was someone that I think even as a teenager, I knew this person had a good heart, but the way their sense of humor manifested did not jive with mine. They were so close to the actions that the bullies around me took that I really could not separate the emotion. Now, maybe now as an adult I could, but at 14, 15, 16, the emotion that came through with, I'm going to keep thinking about this one person. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the life experience to do it. And I remember talking to my mother, and others knew. And to my knowledge, there was never a conversation with him. Nobody ever sat down with him and said, hey, you got to dial it back. Not everyone is accepting of your sense of humor. So I think that that's the first thing that has to happen. I think, as with any other problem in a group of people, it needs to be discussed. And it needs to be discussed before it becomes an issue. The responsibilities of running a school, being an instructor in a school, are vast, and this is yet one more. You're watching for the culture dynamic. Remember, we did an episode last week on culture. And if something is tearing at the culture that you want to see in your school, well, you got to do something about it. And that's when you say, hey, you know what? This person has a strong personality. And in almost every case, it's going to be someone with a strong personality. And you identify what are the elements of their strong personality that other people may not be okay with. And you don't wait until there's a problem. You have a conversation with them. Hey, I appreciate your sense of humor. I think you're funny. I think you're fun. I think you bring some levity to this class. But I need you to realize that there are people in this class who do not share my sense of humor. And you need to be aware that some of the things you say and do are not welcomed by everyone. I'd like you to be on the lookout for that and adjust accordingly. It is my hope that we don't have to talk about this, that it doesn't become a problem. If you have questions, let me know. Right? So you head it off. Now, as a student, when we missed that opportunity, I remember talking to my mother about it quite a bit. And she was really, I think she was stuck in a crummy position because she knew that this person had a good heart, was working from a good place. But she also knew the reality of what I was going through. If I was her, I would have gone to the instructor and sought advice. How do we handle this? This is because it's an example where, everybody wants a good outcome. And again, not waiting until it becomes problematic. There were people in my school who I just did not treat me in a way that felt like it was kind. So Chris, I don't know if that answers your question. And I wish you were in the chat so you could tell me if it does. It all comes down to conversation and having conversation before it becomes a problem. I think that's the best way to sum it up. There's still conversation about Blade Runner going on in the chat. Daniel says, one of my favorite silly jokes, convincing your girlfriend she's crazy is called gaslighting, and it's a jerk move. Convincing your girlfriend she's a robot with artificially implanted human emotions is called blade running. It's a Philip K. Dick move. Oh, okay. All right. So I tried to censor the language a little bit and ruin the joke. It's called gaslighting, and it's a dick move. Blade running, it's a Philip K. Dick move. Got it. Love it. That is a silly and very, very nerdy joke that very few people, I think, are going to get. But I like it. Apparently everybody in the chat today likes Blade Runner. I would say I'll go watch it, but I won't. I have not had great experience watching older movies that people love. The first time I watched The Princess Bride, couldn't stand it. Thought it was terrible. I watched it again. I watched it again about a year ago with the mindset of a 12, 13-year-old. And it was much, much better. Coming into it as a 40-year-old, actually, when did I watch it the first time? 25, 26-year-old. It wasn't very good. It's a kid's movie. Now I can watch Labyrinth and kind of regress to when I was 8 and watch that the first time. You got to be in the right mindset. And being that it's not the 80s anymore, watching 80s movies don't always hold up. And Daniel, quite all right. You're doing fine. He says, apologies for the language in the chat. I try and keep it PG usually. Yeah. Hey, you know what? The word dick, it's not a big deal. With this group, I don't think anybody's sharing this with their kids. And Dennis says, off topic, before I forget, I checked out whistlekick.com/family. I got to add something else in there. I think I'm going to get into a routine. It's probably going to be a weekly thing where I drop an old photo or something like that in there and just kind of keep fleshing it out. Almost like a scavenger hunt. Ooh, digital scavenger hunt. That's a thing we could do. Ideas. I like these ideas. Denise says, Labyrinth always holds up. Dennis says, love me some Princess Bride. And Daniel says, check out some of the stories about Andre the Giant from Princess Bride. He was an incredible man. Yes, the volume of his consumption. There's an incredible anecdote. I think it's from Ron Howard about what might be the most discussed flatulence of all time occurring on that set. Yeah, there's a lot to that movie. And the thing I always remember is we've had multiple guests on the show talk about the quality of the sword fight scene as being their favorite fight scene of all time. Jenny says, Princess Bride, the novel, was a great read because I have been a fan of the movie since it came out. There you go. Kelly says, that's inconceivable. Maybe I should rewatch it. And Daniel says we should watch the documentary. All right, everybody. I don't think I voiced this on the show, but in case I did, I'll say it. There had been some discussion, some very offhanded discussion that I may fly to Vegas today for a few days. That's not happening. I am remaining in Vermont for the weekend. So no worries there. So I will be around tomorrow. We will do a show tomorrow. Christmas Eve morning. I don't know. We'll have to do something different and special. Everybody show up with, I don't know. I can't find my Santa hat. I think I got rid of it. I don't know why. Who gets rid of a Santa hat? I do, apparently. But we'll have a show tomorrow. Leave me some stuff to talk about. Tell me about gifts. I don't know. Come hang out. We'll drink coffee. It'll be great. All right. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for coming by. Don't forget, if you want to leave questions or comments, the Facebook page, facebook.com/firstcupwithjeremy. We do the show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And if you want to join the Patreon, patreon.com/whistlekick. That's the number one way to support us. You can also make a purchase of anything like this mug at whistlekick.com. Use the code FIRSTCUP15 to get 15% off. And as Dennis already mentioned, whistlekick.com/family. That's the place to go to see all the things you can do to support us, to help us, and be part of the mission. And if you're willing to do that, there's a good chance you are part of the Whistlekick family. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Take care. Peace.